Hello, and welcome to another stream. Merry Christmas. It's just after Christmas. I've lost track of the date because that's what happens. 29th of December, so hope everyone who is watching this back has had a nice Christmas and is looking forward to New Year, whatever it is that you'll be doing. Probably only going to be on for about an hour and a half tonight. Just going to be working on the Red Room, as it's affectionately known. Some pixel art to do, mostly just kind of tidying up and shading this particular room, and then getting it into Unity, getting some lights set up and things like that. So that'll be the main part of today's stream. The other thing that I'm going to do is just have a quick look at what I finished off on the rooftop from last stream. So if you tuned into the previous stream, I was working on the top of the roof, and since then I've just added some detail to that, some lights and bits and pieces there. So I'll start by quickly going over that, yeah, we'll move on to the Red Room following that. So I will shift over to ASEprite. So here's the kind of final pixel art of that rooftop scene. So during the live stream, I didn't get to finish this background, so I've been doing that this evening. So there's a whole city in the background there. It kind of looked a bit like that, and it didn't have the detail on the roof and some of the shading and things. Not totally finished yet. I still need to add some ventilation grills to all of that. And a bit more detail on the floor and things, a bit more shading and shadows down this dark alley bit. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it's looking, especially the city in the background. That's starting to look really nice. A bit of graffiti, local graffiti artist Chunk that has quite a few of his or her tags all over Middlesbrough, where I am. So this, I kind of finished off some of that this afternoon into this evening, and then I moved it into Unity. I was working a little bit on this during the live stream, got the walkable areas set up and things. So this is now looking really nice, quite happy with this. So you can see now that we've got this distant city. He kind of walks correctly behind there, and the light from these is kind of glowing now. So I've got lots of dialogue to write for the distant city. I'm probably going to have some of these little lights flashing in the background as well, just to make it a little bit more lifelike. So I've got some of the hotspots in for the ventilation unit, the ladder, the satellite dish, the fire escape. There'll be a graffiti one there. I'll do that actually before I forget. And let me just quickly add that graffiti one in. So graffiti. Getting a bit of a cold as well by the sounds of it. It's been going round the family. Let's just leave that as a box collider actually. So just basic one over there. And let's just save that scene as it is, because we're kind of done with that for now. So I'm going to be working on I haven't created the scene in Unity yet, other than the template for it. It's ASEprite artwork that I'm on with. I started drawing it a couple of months ago, and I suppose this is a spoiler alert if you're interested in the story. If it's something that you're going to hopefully play when it's all complete later next year, then tonight's room is definitely a spoiler in terms of the story. So if you're sticking true to not knowing some of the chunks of the story, then skip this live stream. I'm going to be doing much the same as the things I've been doing in the past, which is working on pixel art, bringing that into Unity, setting up the walkable areas and things, the kind of rinse and repeat of adventure games really. So if you're completely not wanting a spoiler, then tune out now, otherwise on we go. So this is the mystery room. I won't explain exactly where it fits into the story, but it's a long room. it's going to be a double screen room, and this kind of big velvet curtain and things is something that Clive will walk behind. So it's going to be quite a moody room. I'm going to use the lighting in Unity to light that as well. So I want to throw some quite deep shadows about on it, and then I need to do some kind of cutting out. I've already done some of the foreground cutout stuff, so that's all foreground material. A little tip there for the doorway as well, that this door frame and that bit of wall is all part of the foreground, so that Clive can appear down these stairs. All these rolls of carpet in the front are all foreground, the big curtains foreground. I might, where is it, curtain? This big curtain, I might try and set up some parallax on that and some parallax on these so that they move slightly as you move, but probably be in a later stream, to be honest. I just want to kind of get it in and get moving with the story. I say this every week, that spending loads and loads of time on all of the art and all the little tweaks and polish, not a great idea. I want to get through the main bits of the story. So what I am going to need to do is cut out some bits of this for the foreground as well, but get some shading done in here, some shadows done, take you through the process of doing that. There's a lot going on in this scene, so deciding what layer to put the shadows on is kind of tricky, but I think the carpet floor, if I go auto select layer and click the floor, there's all this texture. I'll rename that carpet texture so it makes more sense. Shadows are going to have to go on top of that. So let's just create a new layer above that. Didn't go where I wanted it. Let's call this shadows, and we're going to stick it in a group. So new group, shadows. There's probably going to have to be a few different layers of shadows. The way I tend to do mine is I do them solid black to begin with, and what I'll then do is fade back this layer that they're on. I'm probably going to have to do a few different layers of them, but I want this to be quite a moody dark room, so I'm going to be kind of imagining there is a red light. It'll be like a deep light behind this curtain, so it'll be casting shadows diagonally that way and diagonally that way. So I want it to feel like these things would cast shadows. So we'll start over here with some of the kind of shadows that would sit there, just blocking out the dark areas. I'm trying to keep it kind of retro looking, where there's not any kind of blurs and not any like smoothing on those pixels and things, but some of these scenes might benefit from it when I'm just trying to make it look a little bit moodier, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, because I'm not sure yet the best way how that'll look. So just trying to suggest shadows from this stuff. Hello Kyle, good evening, Merry Christmas, hope you had a nice Christmas. And there definitely won't be a live stream next weekend because I am going snowboarding. Well, I'm not going to be around for at least a week. So this will be the last one for a couple of weeks. Just for your benefit, Kyle, this is definitely a spoiler, this room. You can let us off this once, yeah, for one live stream missed. This is definitely a spoiler to the story, this particular room. I did a little warning at the start, but all I'm doing tonight really is getting some bits and pieces finished off in this room because it was a big effort drawing it and a lot of texture in it, a lot of things going on. I'm just wanting to get the majority of the artwork done for this one because it's an important room to the story, and getting some of this shadow work done, which is going to kind of give it this moody feel that this room needs. A lot of this is just sticking down a lot of dark shadows. Looks very isolating. That kind of creepiness, yeah. Loads of rolls of carpet in the background, and the foreground, a shrine, some mantras going on. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this room. So just trying to give some shadiness to all of this. It's an interesting one. I'm going to need to do another layer of shadows because I need to put a shadow in front of that where this velvet rope is. It's going to have to go across there. So let's just make it like that for now, and like that. Perhaps needs to be a bit thicker. Just going to shade out some of the stairs there. Yeah. So the light's going to come in two different directions. That's why the shadows are going off in this direction. And again, we'll need another layer of shadows to do the shadows under that table so that they're on top of that table surface. So we'll take our shadows layer and change the opacity of it so that they're not as dark. And yeah, that looks all right, I think. Yep, I think probably want to just put a little bit around these as well. Just to ground them a bit. I had already shaded in between these, but it's maybe not as dark and moody as I wanted it. It's looking all right. So we need another shadow layer a bit higher up. It's going to need to be in front of that, which is the shrine, and in front of that, which is the table. So if we put it above the table, same thing again, solid black. Just so I can see where I'm painting to begin with. I think probably all of that's going to be in dark shadow. backs of these chairs are dark enough. You want to continue. What I'm going to do here is cheat a bit of that not as dark. Something like that. Looks a bit weird, but I think that's right-ish. Actually, that shoe rack. No, it's fine. I don't need more shadow on that. Let's fill that in. Oops. So same again. Let's take that, fade it back. Yeah, that looks all right. Right, I think we'll get that in. Have a look to see how it looks. Actually, no, I need to split some things up as well. So again, I'm trying to avoid too many spoilers, but I need some of these on foreground so that I can walk behind. So I'm using the selection tool and auto select layer to see what layers these things are on. So it's carpet rolls. So I'm going to need to take a chunk of them. So if I marquee everything from the edge of that carpet, and kind of cheat here actually and just make a rectangle that is bring it in 1 pixel. Can I bring it in 1 pixel? No, for some reason. Don't know why. That's weird. Let's remove that. Try again. No, it doesn't let me move that. Not got a clue. Right, let's just take all of it. We're going to take all of that. We're going to do Control Shift and C to copy every layer in that marquee. So Control Shift and C, and then up in the foreground folder, I'm going to create a new layer. Let's call it right edge or root edge. I can't spell. All right. So that's fine. So I want all of these in a background. Shooting a lot of these folders because there's a lot of stuff in it. It took quite a while to draw this one. One, it's double length. It's got lots of texture in it that I had to draw. And yeah, lots of copying and pasting all these roles and shading them slightly differently. So I need everything that I want. So the table's going to be a separate layer. The face masks can be on the table there. But these two items, nuts and biscuit, need to be separate so we can pick them up. So let's move notes and biscuits much higher. Let's take everything else, because there's nothing else that's pickable up at the moment in this room. So everything from there down wants to be background. So select all of them, right click, new group, background, check that out. Yeah, that's correct. So there are our foreground pieces, there are our items for picking up. Looks fine. I actually want to do one less pixel. I couldn't move it for some reason. So I want to delete a single pixel. Oh, not like that, I don't. Hello, Chris. Merry Christmas to you. Hope you had a nice one. Right, so that is all foreground. That is all background. But within the background, on the table. Merry Christmas, Chris. Yeah, thank you. What can I? So I can't add that. That needs to be within the table layer, really, for when I have that in front of other things. Yeah, I'm gonna have to create 2 copies of this shadow. So the table and the shadow too. Oh, hang on. On which layer I've drawn them on now. So there is just that little dark line over there. So if I do shrine, we just want to cut that out. No, we don't. We want to cut that out. That needs to go on the shrine. So it doesn't really matter that, it's the table one that's the problem. So that table shadow, and the table and the face masks and everything else, all of that wants to go into a new group called table. Just give it a colour so I can find it later on when I'm coming back here looking for my table. Don't make it orange because I'll make some of my other bits orange. Some of the other things that can go on there is the flowers and the vase. shadow. I think that's right. So right, that should be good. Clive needs to walk behind these, but only up to that big chair there, really, to read this sign. And he'll walk around the front of that. And I want to make sure that that shadow doesn't go in front of his foot, which is correct, I believe. So all of that's background. But we need the table hidden when we export the background. Well, we don't need to, but it's ideal. So that's all going to be background stuff. That's correct. All right, so let's give that a save. Let's export. Let's turn off the foreground items actually. So file, export. So this is a new room. ASEsprites, rooms, history room. It says there I made a basic backdrop for it. I don't remember that at all, but not to worry. So that's that. We need the foreground separately. File, export as history room, foreground. I should say, Chris, sorry, I warned Kyle at the start. Spoilers tonight, as in you've seen this room, so spoiler. Not explaining exactly where it fits into the story, but this was the mystery room that I talked about months ago. As not to give away too much of the story. You can probably work out some of it from what you're seeing in this room, which is why I class this as a spoiler, really. So the other things we need out here. We're going to need the table. Actually, this table can exist. Can it? Can it exist outside of there? I think so. Well, thank you. I mean, if either of you are interested, because you've both been on so many of the live streams, when I get to the position when it needs testing, if you'd like to be beta testers, then I'd be more than happy to entrust some of that in you. It's a bit of a pain being a beta tester because you don't get to play it in all of its glory. You'll get to play it with lots of bugs and it might not fully work and you might get stuck and all of that. But if that does interest you, then do let us know and sort that out at some point. So we need the table outputting by itself. File. There'll definitely be plenty to find, Chris, I'll tell you that much. Export as mystery room table. You enjoy the bugs. They're definitely more enjoyable when you're not the person who's programmed it, trying to find them. But to be honest, it's quite a big responsibility because some of them are so just impossible for the person who made the game to find those things because you're just too close to it all. And sometimes the way the story's planned in your head is not the way it appears to someone else, so they try and do something else in a different order or get frustrated by being stuck somewhere where it's not obvious, all those kind of things. It's not so much just bugs, it's kind of feedback on how the story flow works and loads of other things like that. So yeah, I mean, if you are interested when it comes to it, I mean, I'm months and months away from that now, but I'll keep asking you whether you fancy it or not, and yeah, I'd much appreciate that. So we'll see. Right, that table is done. Did I click that? I've forgotten whether I've clicked that. Right, I did now. Biscuits. Export as. I need to do the whole canvas for these, just the selection. Biscuits. Export. Notes. Export as. Realising that's actually exporting the whole PNG, the whole width of it. Now I don't know if it makes a difference to file size if they're empty pixels. The advantage of doing them the whole width of it is they'll line up exactly where they needed to be. In this case that's not that important because they're just sat on the table, like these two items here. But in a bigger scene it can be useful to export the whole thing, and then if everything's registered at the right position then the things will land where they're meant to be. But I think from a file size point of view it would be better if they were just cropped round. I'm not actually sure whether the pixel dimension, even if it's empty pixels, makes any difference to it. But we will investigate that once we get to Unity. So let's bring them in. Oh, I showed a little bit of this scene actually. I think you both just missed this at the start of the stream. I'll just briefly show you it because you were both online for the last one. So I just did a bit more work on the rooftop. Kind of got the lighting in Unity now for the skylights. They light up his face when he goes near them. And then I finally drew the cityscape I wanted to draw in the background to give it like a bit more ambiance back there. Bit of graffiti. Still got some stuff to finish off. I added a bit of detail to the roof. Need to make this ventilation unit have some like a proper vent on it and things like that, and add a couple of other items to here. Probably some more graffiti on here. If you leave some comments on the YouTube comment thing about graffiti you'd want to see on here, then I'm quite happy to take some recommendations, and comments are always good for the algorithm. If you want to stick comments on the actual YouTube video, that'd be great afterwards. So yeah, that's how that was all looking after I'd applied some lighting and finished off drawing that. So let's get this new scene in. I prepared a blank one. I can't remember for the life of me how I did the double width rooms. We're going to find out together because it's been a while since I did a double width room. I think the last one was the shop floor, I think. So let's go rooms. Mystery room. Mystery room backdrops. All of these want to be set with my setting. Kilroy was here. It is a classic. Oh, from the old Newman and Baddiel thing. M. Khan is bent is the other one that was across the top of the M25 on a motorway bridge. I was even going to do one of them. I've forgotten what it was even called. It was like a little guy poking over a wall with a big nose that was massive in the 80s, and there was loads of graffiti of it. Like the Was Here Man or something he was called. Right, apply all of them. So backdrop. Mystery room backdrop. Okay. So, oh, that's Kilroy. Was that Kilroy was here then? Is that what it looked like? I'm going to have to look this up now. To the internet. Ah, there we go. Yes. Chad. Kilroy was here. Yeah, we might have to go with one of them. Wonder where it came from. I'll go down a rabbit hole if I start looking at that. But yes, that's a good idea. Let's get one of them. I'm sure we used to call him something else round our way. I can't remember what it was though. Right, so first thing we need to do is sort out this scene light. The scene light is only revealing part of the artwork. So we're gonna it's gonna have some quite complex lighting in this scene anyway, but at the very least I want to be able to see it all to begin with. Okay. The player start in the walkable area. Excuse me. So the player start's going to be in there, which is going to purposely be behind the door. If I can spin it around correctly. Going to come in from just off screen. The walkable area. I need to edit that. Ken sent me. What was Ken sent me? I have to look that up as well now, Chris. Ken sent me. Maybe that's something else. All right, is it? So it's part of the Chad. It was a password. I think we'll end up down a rabbit hole with various graffiti. I've already put a nod to a local graffiti artist around where I live in the game with the tag that's on the roof. So what I'm not sure of here, I'm setting this up where I'm not totally sure how the camera follow thing works for these long rooms, because it's just been that long since I set up the shop one. So be something like that. I'm guessing where the table is there, just from the shadows on the floor. Something like that. So let's bring the table in. Mystery room table. Drop that one there. Reset the transform. Oh, that was pretty decent, wasn't it? Took a guess at where that was. Oh no, I messed it up because he can't walk that side of there. So he's going to need to go around that chair. Oh, it's going to be a slim gap back there, actually. We don't want him to walk that far. He just needs to go close enough to be able to pick up those biscuits and the notes that are on the table. So other bit we want in is all the foreground stuff. Reset the transform. Oh, I've done something funny with the walkable area there. What have I done? I have overlapped some. So let's put that like that. Okay, that looks about right. I appreciate it's quite small on the stream, that is, because I'm trying to have all these panels on the screen at the same time. But so a couple of issues. That's going to need to be closer to the wall, because Clive needs to come from there. We're going to need to move. All right, I think that's about right. Let's move his player start to there. Yeah, that walkable area is going to have to be much tighter. I'm just thinking ahead. This stuff's going to be, it's going to reveal this cut-off that we've got. I think what we might do is do a little cutscene when he walks in, so he traverses across to here. So he's always in a safe place and he doesn't clip that wall. But let's have a look, see if the camera is working in the way I think it is. If not, I'm going to have to, no, that's not what I want. So the camera needs to start over the other side. Is it just a camera setting actually? What is this big rectangle? Is it just the camera? So main camera, it is. Right. So we just need universal camera, cam 1. So what's getting used? Let's just have a look. Let's save this actually. I'm just going to go and check out the excuse me. I'm going to go and check out the shop floor and see how I've got the camera set up in that. So cameras, cam 1, game camera 2D. Yeah, so I've got, see this game camera 2D script. I've got this set up where there's offsets and it's constrained to a particular area and it targets the player. So I'm going to need to do all that. So what I'm going to do is just copy that component from here. Go to mystery room. Go to my main camera. And then just paste component values into that. So it's got exactly the same settings as the other one. Let's see how that works. Brilliant. Yeah. That's not worked. Okay. So why didn't that work? Target is the player. Let's just, on the scene entry, yeah, we're using camera 1. That is strange. Grab it. Just move it across there. So it starts in that view. Yeah, it should push off the edge here as he walks. I wonder if I've put it in a strange place. So the minimum is 0. I think maybe in my other scene I've done something strange and not moved the camera, but actually I need to run this in not full screen mode. Yeah, so that's not right. So let's turn off full screen so we can work out what's going on. Following cursor. So it's definitely, that's the camera that's being used. Got follow cursor on. So when it gets to there, it should start pushing. Target is player. The offset. So and this is not the way to do it because he's not pushing it. I can drag the background image and set it as a constraint. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I didn't have to set this up. So the minimum constraint's correct. That offset's massive. Might have it there. So he pushes it along. He's in the middle of the frame. And something bizarre happening there. Take that out. Oh, I think that's fine now. I think this is just, it is wider than the shop. It's a lot wider than the shop, so the shop settings were not suitable really for that. Yeah, that's fine. You can walk all the way to there. So just save those settings. Get the set geometry stuff sorted. So foreground, we should put that to layer 11. The table, we need to use its pivot point. Open the sprite editor. Oh look, I knew I'd done that. There's a shadow there that was in front of the shrine. So anyway, pivot point for that wants to be that corner. Because everything beyond there will be behind and he can't walk in front of that. That's going to shift it all up. So we're going to need to go and put it back. It's helpful to leave the graphics on the background layer so you can line them up. I'm now wishing I'd done that. But that looks about right. In fact, it's going to be noticeably not right. So I've got some of that in the foreground. Let's try that out. So first point's good. He's now behind the door, which is ideal. The carpet at the front is blocking him. We've got the scaling and everything wrong at the moment. We need to sort that out. It needs to be a lot taller. Behind there, in front of the table here, but if you click behind it, I was around the chair and now he's behind it. I think one of the problems is that's about the right scale. It's the same. It's going to be one of the tricky ones. I mean, to be honest, this is just really high. Because the mask's about the right size for his head. He just needs to be a bit bigger, doesn't he? So let's sort that out. Let's go to navigation, sorting maps, sorting map. So just a touch bigger. Yeah, that's fine. How big is he at the front? Be a little bit smaller because he's not going to fit through that door otherwise. Looks good to me. Copy those. There's the values. All right. So some lighting. Let's get some lighting sorted for it. A couple of things that are going to be a bit tricky. I want him to be in darkness as he goes into there. And I don't really know how to handle that. I think what I might have to do, because the problem with these lights is, in reality, they're just a rectangle of colour. And it means if he stood down here, like half his face will be covered. So I don't know the best way to do that. Let's find out. So in the lights thing, we're going to create a new light, create an empty object, door dark, I'm going to call it. This scene light, the one that's lighting the whole scene, if I turn the intensity of that off, then it does effectively make the whole room dark. As soon as you put a light 2D in, then you kind of lose all of the other like brightness data from your pixel art. So it's kind of important to understand what you want it to, like how dark you want it to be before you start adding lights. Because we're gonna add quite a few other things. Yes, Kyle, you're right, actually, yeah. So I could draw the shadow and then use the sorting map, but there would still become a point where he kind of popped out of it, if you know what I mean. So as soon as he got to a level of it, his head would pop out the dark. I'm not sure there's an easy way of doing it. I think if I just try with I wonder if you can do like a mask. Possibly. The other thing is, well, I'm not even sure if you can do a dark light. So let's find out. Let's just do light 2D. Freeform light 2D. Move it over here. So I'm pretty sure actually that you can't, yeah, so you can't create a black light anywhere. It's additive. No, there's no way to do that either. Yeah, I think it is gonna have to be like some sprite work really to do that. So let's not worry about that for now then. Let's worry about that another night. Let's instead do left light. So these freeform lights, I think you've probably seen me set these up on the stream before. What would be handy is if you could, oh, you can do sorting layers. So this is going to test some old Unity knowledge again. I basically don't want these lights to light these foreground bits, although it kind of looks nice. He says, maybe just light the edges a bit. Going to be an awful lot of trial and error here to get these looking right. That looks all right actually, it doesn't look too bad, does it? Yeah, so I'm going to have to just kind of do probably just a triangle there at head height. That's like an alpha triangle, so as he goes in, it looks shaded, and then when he's kind of here, it won't affect him. So when he, I may be overthinking it, but I kind of do like this ambiance that we're getting, that kind of orangey red glow. That's kind of what I was after, to look a bit mysterious. Similarly in here, we're going to have maybe a more direct red light. But what's the... Let's just have a play with these. Yeah, I kind of like this soft light across here. Just highlighting the shoe rack, that's going to be something to interact with. I did think about putting like a little light like you get in a art gallery to highlight the frame there. Add that in. And I have thought about having just a single pendant light hanging down here above the table, so it's kind of like a seance. Yeah, but I actually do like the way the red light catches the edge of this curtain. It's just ever so subtle. But I think that's working quite nice. In fact, I'm just going to bring it back a bit more so it catches a bit more of the edge of the curtain there. Darken off the bottom there. That look? Yeah, that's nice. And then we want to do the same at this side, really. So copy that before I forget. Paste the values. And then the right light, we can just duplicate the left and the right right light. Actually, it's going to take me longer to move that, so I should create a new one. Just wondering now, actually create a light 2D on there, and then you go to that one, copy it, and then paste values. Yeah, I did wonder whether it brought the actual shape with it. Did, so I ended up doing it anyway. I wasn't sure whether it actually remembers the polygon shape you've used as well. What I might do here, I might go for 2 different lights. So one as if it's coming from the same place as the other one. And then also do like a pendant-y type light as well. We go and do a little bit of pixel art for a pendant light that's hanging down, just to illuminate the table. So you've got the light spilling in from this side of the room, but then have something a bit brighter above the table. So call this table light. And also to give it a bit more colour, or a different type of colour, I suppose, is what, rather than it all just being red. So form light. It'll just give it a bit more visual interest, I think. The problem is all of my little slogans in the background. The pendant light might end up being in the way of that. Noticed a little bug in Unity. If you try moving the canvas with your middle mouse button while you're editing this, it doesn't quite work. So kind of looks nice. It's just full screen that, so you guys can have a look at that as well. So yeah, I like the smooth light here that's just going around the corner. Just feels like that's correct, the lighting of that. Gives these shadows some sense of being in the right place. Curtain looks nice, kind of glow on the other side. So yeah, I think if we... So this is the problem I was talking about before. So it's obviously lighting his face to this side, whereas really you want that pixel light to only light stuff beyond there. It's a shame you can't set like a sorting map distance. You possibly can. I just don't know how to do it. So that you can tell it to only light things on a certain layer, or you can use the sorting map, like sorting layers, sorry. But the problem with that is Clive's always on one layer, so you always want him lit. So I think all we can do is, the solution is to not let him walk any further than that, so that he just lights up his face slightly, but you never let the character walk to there. So if we change the walkable area So it just lights his face, and we cut it kind of there where that chair is. And he can still reach and pick up the items that are on the table, or perhaps move them a little bit closer to the edge of the table. But then when he walks around here, it does light him up, which would be kind of correct. It's the intensity is a bit bright actually, but so we need to bring the intensity down, change the walkable area. So intensity needs to come down. We need to bring this walkable area in. Walkable. Just going to pull it back to the edge of that chair so he doesn't get his face nuked by the light. We're going to need to add in a little hanging light. It's going to have to be on a... It is weird when you jump back to ASEsprite, and I love the pixel art that I've done. I'm proud of what I've drawn, but just how different it looks with the lighting, just how much more moody. You compare that, which yeah, it looks nice, but then when you've actually got the lighting there, there's something about it that really brings it to life. I'm really pleased I decided to go with lights in Unity as well, because I was going to keep it like proper retro with no pixel lights, but I think I made the right decision personally. So we just want to create a completely new layer, call it lamp. And I think all we're going to do is just have a single line. Check the light sorting layer to always include the player and the table. Yeah, I think the problem is though, yeah, when he's in front of it, he'll still get lit. There's possibly a way of doing it. I might have a look at a couple of tutorials on it, and see if there is a solution to choosing things to get ignored after a certain depth. I mean, it's the same thing that is done in Adventure Creator kind of for you, which is the depth of those like sorting layers. It's kind of sorted out for you. Right, so let's just make a basic lamp. What kind of lamp should we go for? Going to be something round. Okay. Separate layer here for the lamp shade. I don't know whether to have like a bit of the top of it. Really not sure how to draw this, but I don't want it to be too big. I just want it to be like obvious that's what it is. I mean, the light that's spilling out of it should make it pretty obvious. I think if we give it a really bright edge, things that would be glowing quite bright, unless we do it as like a dark lamp, as in like a shade that is fully shading everything above it. Yeah, I think it might have to be, because otherwise yeah, undecided about the colouring for this, so let's just adjust hue and saturation. I wonder if that should just kind of blend into the background like a dark topped lamp, and then we can kind of glow the bottom and glow out the gap there. Not quite sure. Wondering as well. It's just a bit grey like that for now. Whether this would be picking up the red light from the other side. Not that bright, it won't be. Individual pixels again, making the difference. Yeah, I'm really not sure about the best way to do it. I would think, I mean, if you had a bulb sticking out the bottom, it would be super bright. Like you would see it like that. And I think maybe that's what we go for. Just a couple of pixels of really bright, and then we have the light lit along the edge. Like they're coming out the bottom of it, so then we possibly have one line of lighter, like it's lighting the edge of it like that. I'm just thinking about whether light would be shooting out the top. It probably would be, but I think that reads like a lamp. Maybe the string's a bit bright like that. String, is that what it's called? Cable. Yeah, let's, oops. Did that earlier as well. Cack-handed. Right, that's good. I think that's fine like that. So let's get the lamp and the shade, let's stick them together. So hanging lamp. Let's get that exported. Oh, I'm going to try this thing that it said before. So if you've got it selected and you hide everything else, and then when you go File, Export As, just the selection, visible layers, all frames forward, choose File, Mystery Room, hanging lamp, export. Right, let's have a look at that. Give that a save. Bring that in. Hanging lamp. Just apply my preset to it. Apply. Drag that in. Reset its transform. Go and find it. There it is. So I think what we're going to have to do to make this convincing is actually have two lights. So the table light Yeah, I don't want it too far over at the left because it's going to cover some of the writing. If it was right in the middle of the table, it can cover some of that writing. So perhaps just like that. And then let's just lock that so I don't accidentally move it. Get the table light. Edit that. So this gives us our general lighting. Yeah, I mean, even that little flick of light that I put on it, like, seems convincing now. I'm quite happy about that. So. Try not to light the back of this chair too much, but I want that other chair to be well lit. That's nice, I think. That gives us some lighting in the background. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a copy of that and call this rim light. I'm just going to try this out and make it almost white. I'm going to pull the fall off right down. I think you get the idea here. I maybe need to it's a shame you can't have the fall off, like a different shape for different, because that's going to be too direct. We'll get there. There's something in this that will make it look right. It's not that. Let's have a look at that. Let's see how that's looking. Oh, I've just noticed the time. I was only meant to be doing an hour and a half tonight because I've got packing to do, which is nice because I'm heading off snowboarding in a week's time. Heading over to Cumbria in a couple of days and then going from there down to Manchester to go snowboarding in the French Alps. That's very bright, isn't it? Oh, we need to fix the brightness. We haven't got that in the right position yet. So, yeah, brightness is too bright. The lamp isn't set to the correct thing. So hanging lamp. Sprite sort point we need to do is pivot. This is going to cock up its position, isn't it? Actually, yeah, I want him to be behind it all the time. So that's got to be like that. That's going to shoot it off the screen. Gonna have to move it back. And then that second rim light is going to have to be much lighter. And instead of doing multiply, no, that's going to look rubbish. No, leave it as it was. Let's do it in. Let's just dial it in. So it looks quite nice like that. Just zoom in. Oh, I've set the pivot to the wrong side, haven't I? That's what I've done. So it's still too bright, isn't it? Let's get that bit sorted. Copy. Paste values. Go back to the hanging lamps. Open the sprite editor. So the pivot wants to be the other way. Is that right? It wants to always be behind it. Getting myself confused now. I'm meant to be the one who knows what's going on here. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't even need to use this, would I? I could just set the order. It's always going to be in front of him. It, in fact, could have just been attached to the foreground if I'd thought about it, because he doesn't come this far in the table. His head's never going to... So, I mean, I could just set it to a much higher level than him, and that would solve that problem. Right, that's fine. So I've got this really intense bit near his face when he goes past it. But yeah, it's smoothly lit everywhere else. Yeah, happy with that. Because there's going to be a walk marker there. So we'll be guaranteed that players will see it. All of that hard work. Because when they read that, and again, the meme you've all seen when someone writes something wrong on a banner, it's like cold floor heart, and it's like, no, cold floor, cold heart, not cold floor heart. But he's going to do exactly that and go cold floor heart. What does that mean? So yeah, they'll walk that way to do that. And he's still catching a bit of his face on there. Maybe we'll... Let's just show the gizmos. No, I didn't want to do that. So yeah, we want to just trim the edge of that so he can't walk any further than that, because that looks lovely where it's just lighting his nose. Just, yeah. So almost where the edge of that table is. Just trim that up. Oops. Bring that back to there. Okay, so let's put the two items on the table. So there's the notes. Get away with the cheat way, because they're always going to be in front of him. Because you might remember back as far as livestream 3 or something, when I was attempting... see, this is one of the other problems. I've created that. It's miles off the pivot points right in the middle, because this whole canvas is the whole thing. I've made a tiny little sprite that's absolutely massive. So that is going to sit there. it's always going to be in front of him. So I was saying back to like one of the early live streams when I've got stuff on the desk in the office, and I need to make a sorting group because it made a right mess of having items that needed to be sorted together in front of and behind him. And it was exactly this. It was something sat on a table that you needed to walk like behind and in front of. So I know that'll cause me a problem at some point. So maybe we can get away with this cheat where, I mean, with both of these, they're going to be things you can pick up. So that's one of the other issues is they're going to disappear off the scene. So we just need, when his arm comes out, to do that pickup animation. Biscuits. Reset the transform. A quarter of their size. So I might put them over there actually. Looks like another reason to go over there. So I've just set them to 11, which Clive renders at 10, I think, from memory. So they'll always be in front of him. So here it's not a problem because you're never going to go. You see his shirt went through it then as he turned. So I could just move them back a bit so he does a pickup. His arm will come out, shirt won't hit him. And then this one, yeah, you can pick up from there. We'll do a forwards pickup there. So we'll just move that a little bit further away so his shirt doesn't touch it. So I don't think I've actually got these in the inventory items we made. I'm not going to be able to have time to go into this evening, unfortunately, but so I'm in the wrong thing. ASEprite items. I have a packet of biscuits. Did I draw a packet of biscuits? Let's have a look. No, I put biscuits, but I didn't draw them in a packet. I drew them ages ago. So I've got these spare inventory items. So those biscuits I'll probably just change to a packet of biscuits. And then I'll need the little notes that you pick up. It was going to be a flyer originally, but that's the post-it note. Now that could be it actually. So it was going to be a flyer about a carpet meeting. So that is the correct thing. It's just not quite the same colours. So I've managed to get quite a bit done there. Happy with that, I think. Certainly looking quite nice now. Hope you agree. Certainly feels like I've got the majority of that room's stuff in, like visually at least. I'm happy with that lighting when he goes behind there. Yeah, his shirt doesn't touch that anymore. Lovely. Right, I think that's going to have to be it for this evening. As always, thanks Chris, thanks Kyle for joining. And yeah, I would say for certain I won't be live streaming next Sunday or next Monday, as I will be flying back from France. So I'll be having a week off next week. I will actually be taking my little laptop with me because I've got a few days over in Cumbria first where I'm going to do a little bit of ASEprite work on some of these scenes. Still need to finish off the Funky Monkeys start scene and a couple of other bits that I didn't kind of get to the level of quality that I wanted to. So I'll be doing a little bit, trying to keep motivated to keep going forwards. What I always suggest as well is just do a little bit, if anything. Yeah, so I'll be back in 2 weeks' time, possibly less than that, but certainly not Sunday or Monday, as I'll be back to work that week as well. So thanks as always. Merry Christmas to you both, Chris, and to Kyle. Hopefully you have a happy New Year. I hope you're doing something fun on New Year's Eve. Don't do anything I wouldn't, which doesn't leave you much. So have a great time. See you soon on another live stream. Thank you very much. See ya.